This week on Stakelbeck on Terror, the world calls it the West Bank. We call it Samaria, Israel's biblical heartland. We're on the ground in the mountains where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob walked to bring you the truth about those so-called illegal settlements that Israel is being pressured to abandon. Jewish leaders here say they're here to stay.
The prophets promised that the children of Israel would return to these mountains and rebuild these Jewish cities and Jewish towns, and that's what's happening.
From Israel's Bible Belt of Samaria, let's go to work. Well, welcome to Samaria, the biblical heartland, the mountains of Israel. You know, this is one of my favorite places in the whole world. This is my second trip to Samaria. I spent the day here today in the land where the forefathers walked. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob lived on this land, built this land. This is the land of the Bible. Yes, Jerusalem, absolutely the eternal capital of the Jewish people. But before Jerusalem even came into the picture, King David's, the kingdom, Solomon, before they came into the picture, this was the biblical heartland of Samaria. As you can see behind me, beautiful scenery. There's not a bad view in Samaria. Beautiful mountainous terrain. And the key thing here, and the point I want to get across today, this is considered an Israeli settlement. This is the so-called West Bank. Judea, Samaria, the Jewish communities here, are also called by the international community, including the U.S. government, as Israeli settlements. Illegal occupation. These are illegally occupied lands in the view of the world community. Well, I have to tell you, what I've seen here in Samaria in my time here, and on this show, Stakelbeck on Terror, we don't refer to the West Bank. We call it Judea and Samaria because that's what the Bible called it. What I've seen here is nothing short of miraculous. Number one, the Jewish people have returned to the land where their forefathers dwelled, 4,000 years ago. They've returned to the land. They've rebuilt it in a miraculous way. Now, what's going on here in Samaria? Number one, a high-tech boom. You hear about these wild-eyed Israeli settlers. Well, I'll get to the high-tech boom in a second, but I want you to know a few facts about Samaria. Number one, the religious extremists. When the international press, the New York Times, the CNN, BBC, even some of the Israeli media, they talk about the settlements in Judea and Samaria. They give you the impression that this is a bunch of religious extremists, gun-toting, who are hunting down innocent Palestinians. Here's the real story about Samaria. Number one, 60% of the people who live here in Samaria are secular, are not religious. Very interesting. The majority of people here, the majority of settlers here in Samaria are secular, non-religious. And the amazing thing is they live side by side with religious Jews here in Samaria, and there's no tension. It's a true democracy here, living side by side, religious, non-religious. Oh, and by the way, Arab. Yes, those oppressed Palestinians you hear so much about, their land here has been stolen from them. The oppressive Jews have stolen this land in the West Bank. Well, Arabs are welcome here. Newsflash, I know it might shock you. I'll give you an example. Arielle University, it's a booming educational institution here in Samaria, 14,000 students. And kids from all over Israel, kids, men from all over Israel, men, women, come here to study. Not just people who live in Judea, Samaria, but you have students from Tel Aviv, from Netanya, from Jerusalem, from down south in Ashdod and Ashkelon, commuting here to Samaria to attend Arielle University. It is an elite academic institution here in Israel, and it's growing by leaps and bounds. Well, 6% of the students at Arielle University are Arabs. Yes, as a matter of fact, here in intolerant Samaria, Arielle University has a larger Arab population than any other Israeli university. Very interesting. Not only that, those Arab students live in the dormitories at Arielle University. They're able to freely wear the hijab and wear any kind of Muslim religious attire. No one bothers them. They attend college freely at Arielle University. And it's very interesting because on the flip side, if a Jewish student, an Israeli student, wanted to attend college and say, oh, I don't know, Ramallah, I don't think they'd be too welcome. Could they wear their kippah there? I don't think so. So you have Arielle University, number one, is a prime example of the tolerance of Samaria and how Jews and Arabs are living side by side here, working side by side here, going to school side by side here. Number two, the industrial park in Barkat in Samaria. Now there's some 150 businesses in this industrial park in Barkat here in Samaria, and we saw up close a factory where Jews and Arabs are working together side by side, Jews, Muslims, side by side together in a factory, working happily together. There's a great synergy between them, no fighting, no arguing. Arabs are actually in positions, supervisory positions in these factories. And not only that, an Arab working at the industrial park in Barkat in Samaria here, an Arab working in these businesses, in these factories, makes double or 3 times as much in some cases as he would make working for the Palestinian Authority in the Palestinian areas. And he also gets full benefits, full vacation time, etc., etc., and the ability to move up the ladder into a supervisory or a management position. That's what you have here in all levels, in the workplace, at school, in neighborhoods. You have tolerant, welcoming Jewish communities here in Samaria, and this is from all my mainstream media friends, largely secular. 60% of the people living here are secular here in Samaria. So there's been a lot of misinformation about this beautiful land, and I have to say, it's one of my favorite places to come when I'm here in Israel. As I said, one of my favorite places in the world. And when I come here, it always strikes me that these areas remind me of Southern California or suburbs in America. What's the American dream? You move out. You might want to move out away from the city, away from the hustle, the bustle, the noise. You move out with your family, with your kids. You want to build a nice home in a quiet community with good, God-fearing, patriotic people, right? Well, that's what you have here in Samaria. You have kindergartens, you have schools, you have playgrounds, you have a real community feeling here. In my experience, it reminds me of the old days for me growing up in Philadelphia. As you know, that's where I grew up. I talk about it once in a while here on the show. And everyone knew everyone. Very tight-knit, very close communities. We've kind of lost that in America in many ways. Well, in Samaria here and in Judea and the communities here, they're recapturing that. Everyone knows everyone else. There's a real sense of community. And I have to tell you, there's a real sense of peace. When you're here on the mountains of Israel, you're walking the Bible. You are literally walking the Bible. And there's always, when I'm here, no matter how hot it is, what time of year, it could be summer, there's always a gentle breeze. And you just want to take a deep breath and you want to take it all in and you want to look around and you want to pinch yourself that you're here on the mountains of Israel, which God gave to the Jewish people as an eternal possession. It's hard for me to believe that I'm blessed enough and that I get the opportunity to come here and to stand here and to tell you the truth about what's really going on here. But this is what's happening in Samaria. Ladies and gentlemen, something special is happening here on the mountains of Israel. They're building, and it's booming. They're building homes. They're starting new businesses. There's a true democratic spirit. It's really like the pioneering spirit in the Old West in America. You can relate, right? If you're an American viewer. New land, build old land that's become new again for the Jewish people. Rebuilding it, resettling the land, making a beautiful land great and making it prosper. So, something special is going on here in Samaria. We're going to show you more about it today up close. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the key. Get on the ground here. Go to Jerusalem, go to Tel Aviv, Haifa, absolutely. Pay a visit to Sderot too and support the Jewish people, the Israeli people there. But come out here to Judea and Samaria. You won't regret it. You're going to see modern, thriving, friendly, welcoming communities, beautiful scenery, as you can see, and probably most importantly of all, you're going to get in touch and you're going to connect with your faith and with the roots of Judaism, the roots of Christianity. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob walked where I am walking right now. They might have taken a nap under one of these trees as they were tending the flock. It's a special place, so stay tuned for more from the biblical heartland of Samaria. I'm just honored to be here, and I have to say, my father raised me. My dad would always talk about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. My dad was, he wouldn't just say God, he'd say the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So to be on the land where they walked, I have to pinch myself. I'm a guy from humble beginnings in Philadelphia, Northeast Philadelphia, back in the United States. I never thought I'd be here in a place like Samaria.
And since we've returned and we were planting vineyards, the wines that are produced from the Sharon are the greatest wines in the land.
I agree.
Gershon asks that when you become a senator, you open this bottle.
Toda Rabbah. Coming up, a conversation with a leading voice for Samaria. And later, Arabs stole his herd, but he's not giving in. Meet the Jewish shepherd. Stay tuned.
John Mapes is 42, mortgage, married, 2 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. John can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $25 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll search the pick of insurers like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. John's wife, Carrie, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or visit SelectQuote.com.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, call now for a new pain-free meter. These new meters are more accurate, they're easier to use, and the best news is you don't have to prick your fingers anymore. Call now and Arriva Medical will send you one of these new meters for free. And if you have Medicare, your testing supplies may also be covered. Arriva makes it simple. They bill Medicare directly. There are no upfront costs. And they deliver your supplies right to your door for free. With these new meters, there's no coding, you don't have to prick your fingers, and some of these meters even talk.
Your blood glucose reading is 122.
And if you call 1-800-284-9762, we will send you a free Betty Crocker Diabetes Cookbook filled with delicious recipes.
Call Arriva today. You'd be glad you did.
And welcome back. David Haivri is a good friend of mine and a great tour guide of Samaria, which Israelis call the Shamron. David is the spokesman for the Shamron Regional Council, and he is on the front lines of the battle to maintain and secure the thriving Jewish communities there. I caught up with him recently on the mountains of Israel. Take a look.
The Shamron is the core of everything that's going on in Israel. It's the center. On on one side, all of the informational battles that Israel is dealing with on the internet and campuses, it's all focused here in Shamron. And here is where things are happening. The Jewish communities in Shamron are thriving, are building, are growing. The population is growing. We're growing 4 times greater, 5 times greater than the national average in Israel. Our youth are growing up and coming back to build their homes in our communities. And we have families from outside of the Shamron who realize the greatness of being out here in the mountains of Israel and are knocking on our doors and asking to build their homes here. The Shamron is building and bustling. The university center is just an amazing source of energy. There are so many young people from all parts of Israel's society who are studying in Arielle. There are those who are trying to boycott products from Judea and Samaria still. our industry is growing, and there are more and more factories that wish to build and establish themselves here. There's just so much going on. Young families who wish to establish themselves and raise children look around and they say, where are our kids going to get a good standard of living? And they see, wow, that community, the Shomron, are people who care about education. They care about children. They have a beautiful atmosphere. I mean, look around you, see the tranquility. See, you could just go and take a rest under one of these trees, and wouldn't you want to build your home here and sit on the porch? And it's a beautiful scenery. We're up here on the mountain. We have great weather. It's cool in the summer, and family and community. But aside from that, and even more important, there's a godly process. There's a process of fulfilling the prophecy that's beyond explanation. The prophets promised that the children of Israel would return to these mountains and rebuild these Jewish cities and Jewish towns, and that's what's happening. So as much as we try to explain and why people are coming out here, the fact is that people are coming out here. And there are more people who are trying to build their homes here in the Shomron than elsewhere in Israel. Israel is under attack in the informational battle on the internet and in campuses. There are NGOs, organizations that their entire agenda is bashing Israel and trying to give Israel a bad take. And all of the arrows that they're focusing on Israel are all here in the Shomron. People who wish to have a true picture need to come out here and see that for themselves. People who want to be Israel advocates, who want to stand up for Israel, need to come and experience this. Because otherwise they're totally reliant on information that they're getting secondhand at best, and mostly by biased organizations who are trying to draw Israel in a bad light. People need to come out and see for themselves. They need to visit the industrial parks and see who's working there and what we're producing and what the atmosphere is before they stand up and say, boycott Israel, don't boycott Israel, boycott the settlements, don't boycott the settlements. Who is going to pay for those boycotts? Are they sure that they're causing damage to those who they wish to cause damage to? Are they sure that the fight is right? But when you come out here and you see for yourself, the picture is totally different.
Up next, he looks like he could have stepped out of the pages of the Bible. Meet the Jewish shepherd. Don't move.
Millions of women worldwide love Bare Minerals.
This is smooth, it's nice, and it covers. I like that.
Only Bare Minerals looks like beautiful bare skin, while it covers whatever you want it to. And now you can get our latest kit with our totally new, totally spill-proof Click Lock Go Foundation. For over 75% off retail, our new kit comes with Bare Minerals Foundation in the shade that's just right for you. Warmth for a healthy glow. Mineral Veil, the ultimate finishing touch, and Bare Minerals Flawless Application Brush. Call now and get 3 full-size gifts worth $57.95 free. Purchased separately, you'd spend over $120. Our original Get Started kit was a great deal at 2 payments of $29.99. But now you can get all this for just 1 payment of $29.99. Save over $90 and get a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Call 1-800-376-4174. Ask how you can receive this handy compact. Call 1-800-376-4174 now.
Have you ever had an idea for an invention or new product? Bill Schaefer, one of the inventors of Whammo's new Splash Wash, did. He came up with the idea while watching his children play one hot summer afternoon. Bill invented a car wash for kids. Ride through it, run through it. InventHelp submitted the Splash Wash to Whammo, the makers of childhood favorites like the Frisbee, Hula Hoop, and Slip and Slide. If you have an invention you would like to try to patent and submit to corporations and want free information that explains how InventHelp may be able to assist you, call now. InventHelp is America's largest invention company with sales offices in over 50 cities nationwide. Call InventHelp today for free information. Bill Schaefer made a financial gain on the Splash Wash. However, most inventions are not successful, and Bill's experience is not typical of what inventors can expect.
For your free inventor's information, call 1-800-260-7793. That's 1-800-260-7793.
And welcome back. Well, for 40 years, Abraham Heartland has worked as a farmer and shepherd on the mountains of Israel, just as his forefathers did thousands of years ago. But recently, Heartland's livelihood was shattered when his herd was stolen by local Arabs who are determined to drive the Jews from Samaria. Heartland calls it agricultural terrorism, and he's not going to take it. Here's my interview with the man they call the Jewish shepherd.
First, we were looking for the flock. Immediately after the theft, my son came, and the police were helping me, and the army. But to a certain point, they help, and then they don't help. The government can help me. The security, the Shin Bet, have at their disposal the intelligence. They could know exactly where that flock was taken, who stole the flock, because they know who used those phones at 4:30 in the morning, before the morning, 2 hours before sunset. That's when the flock was stolen. So they could help me, but.
And Arabs, local Arabs, stole the flock.
I don't know if they're local, but when I had the flock here in Tapua, and they wanted to steal it many times.
They're threatened by you.
They threatened my life. They made threats for my life also, not only for the flock.
Why are they threatened by you, the Arabs?
Because I'm doing something. I use a lot of land, and they realize if others do what I do, then it's going to be a threat to their existence here in Israel. Because if they can't grasp the land, they have nothing to do here. Yeah. If you notice, if you're driving from Tapua, there are thousands of olive trees that were planted after the Six-Day War. They're young olive trees. Why do they do this? It was to grab the land. Because when they planted the olives, the government looked away, didn't see what was going to happen in years, and so that's like their land now. Yeah. They used it as a device in controlling the land. They got money from rich Arab countries, and they put saplings in. They worked hard for a few years, but we've been here for thousands of years. You see, we've been here for thousands of years. I feel a link with our ancestors through the flock. I'm doing their work, you see. And I do believe, without any doubt whatever, a lot of young people are going to leave the terror of Tel Aviv, the way of life, the rat race of Tel Aviv, and the other big cities in Israel, and they're going to look for a quiet way of life.
Great place to raise a family at here.
Right, yeah. Right. I mean, you know everyone. Everyone knows each other. When you're walking in a city, well, you're used to it, but I'm not used to it. I walk in a city. Everyone is strange to everyone else. So even if they're all Jews, still you don't know who you're rubbing shoulders with. Yeah. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. Yeah. They had a song many years ago, I don't know if you remember it, during World War II maybe. How you gonna keep them down on the farm after they've seen New York? You remember that?
I know it.
I have a new song. How you gonna keep them down in New York after they've seen the farm? I reverse it. I hope it will happen soon. It'll happen. I hope it'll happen soon. For the sake of your children and my grandchildren. Let them have clean air. Let them be out with clean thoughts. When you're in a city, I mean, you're bombarded by these buildings and
billboards.
You don't see the work of the Creator. To know the Creator, you have to see His works. When I see the Shemayim, the heaven. I see the rocks under my feet, not the pavement.
So what now? No flock.
I'm still looking for the flock, because they're giving birth now. The Arabs wouldn't slaughter them because they were toward the end of their pregnancy when they were stolen. So I want to find the flock. That's what my so many thoughts in that direction.
If you didn't, God forbid, if you didn't find the flock, would you try
Well,
to get a
I have a son
we
we have a farm in the Galil. I have a son there, and he wants to buy me a small flock now. We went to look for last week. We went to the Ramat Golan, the Golan Heights, where the Druzim, and we saw a flock or two. But I said to him, I want my animals. But
they
now,
were like your sons. Those animals were like your family.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a short film showing me the animals. I see them. It's like yesterday. I remember the ones that are 4 months old, the ones that are big. I mean, I've raised them for it's like generations, because every year it's a new generation. Yeah. New ones are born. So I hope Be'ezrat Hashem. You know what that means in Hebrew?
I don't.
With the help of God. Be'ezrat Hashem. Be'ezrat Hashem. With the help of God, we're going to find them, and other Jews are going to do this work.
Coming up, more wisdom from the Jewish shepherd. Stay tuned.
The sun used to make our outdoor deck and patio space so hot and uncomfortable, we couldn't use it.
But then we discovered the Sunsetter retractable awning. Our Sunsetter retractable awning opens and closes in just 60 seconds. It keeps our patio about 20 degrees cooler.
It provides instant shade and instant protection from the sun's harmful rays.
And our Sunsetter costs under $700.
But now you can get your Sunsetter for as little as $499 when you call now to get this special $200 discount certificate and free awning idea kit.
We love our Sunsetter retractable awning, and you're going to love yours too.
Sunsetter awnings are assembled in America and guaranteed to last for years. So call now to get this free awning idea kit with DVD, plus your $200 Sunsetter discount certificate.
But this is a limited time offer.
Call now.
Call now for your free awning idea kit with DVD and $200 discount certificate. There's no obligation.
1-800-913-7523.
Anyone that I talk to about learning a language, I tell them there's just no other way to do it than Rosetta Stone.
Other than being dropped in a foreign country to your own devices, this is it.
I took Spanish in high school and it was a miserable failure. 20 years later, I saw the Rosetta Stone program and it was pretty fun.
It was just really easy. If you can click a mouse, you're pretty set.
No podemos patinar sobre hielo.
Call now for a free demo and experience why Rosetta Stone is the fastest way to learn a language guaranteed. Call now.
By far, Rosetta Stone is the very best product out there to learn.
J'aime quand je rêve en français.
I'm so glad that I got the program.
It just works perfectly.
Rosetta Stone is, in my opinion, the only method there is to learn a language.
Call now for a free demo and experience why Rosetta Stone is the fastest way to learn a language guaranteed. Call now.
Welcome back. Well, when you meet Abraham Heartland on the mountains of Israel, it's almost like he just stepped off the pages of the Bible. He is a man of God, and it was a blessing to meet him. So here's more wisdom from the Jewish shepherd.
The ultimate purpose of my raising a flock is to teach others this word. So we have the animals because our ancestors, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, they were the keepers of flocks. Why? What do I have as being a shepherd in the field? What do I have that other people don't have in other kinds of work? I mean, you can work with computers and make 10 times the money, work only 8 hours a day, and you come home and then I have to look at the flock at night to see they're still there. Sometimes I have to go in the middle of the night and see if there are any ones being born. I have satisfaction from my work. I'm independent. And when I'm in the field, I have something that almost no one has today, freedom of thought.
They don't make them like that anymore. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Stakelbeck on Terror from Samaria. Until next time, take care and God bless.